welcome you all to the town meeting 2024. To begin, I'd like to remind you that for the first time we will be voting at the new town office tomorrow. The voting hours are 10 to 7. I'll mention that again at the end of the meeting. As most of you know, the first 3 articles to be discussed are voted on at this meeting. The rest of the articles are introduced to you, and if people wish to express opinions or make any comments on them, they certainly can do so. I only ask that if you are not a Pownal resident, that you identify yourself. The rules say that if you are not a Pownal resident and wish to speak at this meeting, you have to be approved by the General Assembly, which always happens, so I don't think there's a problem there. All right. The first article is to hear report of town officials and take action thereon. I need a motion, please, and if you identify yourself. Yes. Have a second. Did you get that too? Very good. Any comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions. Thank you. Article 2, to see if the voters will authorize the treasurer to receive taxes until they become delinquent. I need another motion, please. Yes?
Jim Winchester.
In the back, Jim Winchester, is that you? Very good, thanks, Jim. And a second?
Dave Lowe.
Yeah, Dave Lowe. Thank you, Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed or abstentions? And Article 3, shall the voters authorize payment of real and personal property taxes on November 8th, 2024, before 5 p.m. by delivery to the town offices postmarked on or before that date? Any questions on that? If not, I'd like a motion, please. Somebody, please. There we go. Thank you. Did you get that, Julie? Did you get it, Julie? Second, please. Jim Winchester, thank you very much. I'll get you next time. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Very good. We can go through the articles now, and these will be voted on again tomorrow at the new town hall. The election of all officers required by law. 5, shall the voters authorize the select board to establish cemetery reserve fund per 24 VSA 2804 for the maintenance and care of all town-owned cemeteries. 6, shall the voters authorize the select board to change the name and purpose of the transfer station building fund to the transfer station capital project reserve fund in order to allow for different uses such as paving? Yes. Would you just come forward and introduce yourself, please?
My name is Karen. I just wanted to know if anybody had clarification of this, why we have to change the name of the transfer station to allow for such things as paving. It's already paved. We have some other roads in town that could use paving in the transfer station.
Would anybody like select board members or
I can answer.
Joe? Oh, yes. Who said
Sue.
that? Go ahead.
So the transfer station building fund is specifically for the transfer station. So when we make a fund, it's for a specific purpose. Making it into a capital project fund will allow it to be used for more than just putting up a building that they don't need because we have our buildings over there. So it's taking money we've already voted to put into that fund and allow other things to be done. There is a section that's not paved and that needs to be fixed. It has nothing to do with the road. This money can't go to the road.
So it's not just specifically for paving the transfer station?
Please speak into the mic. Very good. Thank you.
It's
It's for
paving the transfer station.
for different uses such as paving. There is going to be some of it used for paving. I do not know the monetary amount, but this was requested by the transfer station. Yes, thank you. Supervisor is the word I was looking for.
Article 7, shall the voters appropriate $1,299,568.56 for the general expenses of the town, of which $707,219.63 is to be raised by taxes, and $215,698.93 from the prior year's undesignated surplus fund. 8, shall the voters appropriate $1,268,607.43 for the maintenance and construction of the highways of the town, of which $996,648.17 is to be raised by taxes, and $99,059.26 from prior year undesignated surplus funds. Fund 9, shall the voters appropriate $11,000 to Bennington Area Visiting Nurse Association and Hospic for providing health care to individuals residing in the town. 10, shall the voters appropriate $500 to the Bennington County Conservation District. 11, shall the voters appropriate $500 to the Bennington County Association Against Child Abuse, a non-for-profit agency. 12, shall the voters approve $2,000 for the Bennington Free Clinic. I'd like to mention that, as most of you know, in the general town report, most of the organizations requesting funds have written a small article outlining their purpose and how they would use the funds. But again, I encourage anybody that'd like to speak to any of these issues, please do so. 13, shall the voters appropriate $2,000 for Bennington Project Independence for compensation in-person adult day services to Pownal residents. 14, shall the voters appropriate $1,800 BROC Community Action in Southwest Vermont for crisis fuel and food shelf assistance. 15, shall the voters appropriate $600 to the Green Mountain Retirement Senior Volunteer Program and volunteer programs for the support of services rendered to the residents of the town. 16, shall the voters appropriate $200 for Bennington Green Up for the support of services rendered to the residents of the town.
It's Vermont, not Bennington. You said Bennington. It's Vermont.
Very good. Julie has informed me that I misread the article. It's Vermont Green Up, not Bennington Green Up. Shall the voters appropriate $6,000 to Oak Hill Children's Center?
Thank you. My name is Shannon Wisconsin. I'm the board president of Oak Hill Children's Center. I just wanted to say thank you to the citizens of Pownal for voting to support us over the last 50 years. We celebrated 50 years last year. It's been amazing to work on the board and see all the wonderful things they're doing. We just replaced what we call the greenhouse, a very old, dilapidated building, and it's about $120,000 to renovate that. But the $6,000 is used towards tuition assistance. So we use scholarships, hand out scholarships to folks who don't qualify for subsidy. So the $6,000 goes back to those folks who don't qualify for subsidy, and it helps support the payment.
have a question there for you, I think.
Has Oak Hill is great for economic development in Pownal and including services to our youth. Have you all asked for ARPA funds from the select board?
Yeah, we did. So when we started the project for the greenhouse, we had requested ARPA funds in the amount of $50,000 to help fund that. But I'm not sure where in the process that is, but we did request it.
Are there any other questions? Thank you. Article 18, shall the voters appropriate $60,000 to the Pownal Fire Protection Association for operations, insurance, and maintenance?
Hi, my name is Jamie Hello, President of the Pownal Fire Protection Association. I'd like to thank everybody from the town of Pownal and the select board for the continued support. As you know, there's a lot of volunteers, put in a lot of hours to keep this up and running, so I'd like to really appreciate the support again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions about the fire department and the service that they render to the town? Thank you, Jamie. 19, shall the voters appropriate $50,000 to the Pownal Rescue Squad, Inc. for operations, insurance, and maintenance?
Becky Levine, Pownal Rescue Squad. We just want to say thank you to all the citizens for supporting us throughout the year. In 2023, we responded to 825 calls for service, which included medical calls, motor vehicle accidents, mutual aid requests, and community events. 26% of those calls were requests for mutual aid, in which we have to respond because we received federal funding. 21% of those calls were for refusals or cancellations, which are either low reimbursement or no reimbursement to us at all. We rely heavily on reimbursements from public insurance companies. We're legally obligated to transport patients regardless if they have insurance or not. EMS throughout the country is struggling and not just an issue in our area. And there's an unreliable level of local, state, and federal support. And while discussions are happening to improve this model, and it's gone to legislation, nothing has passed through it yet. We are doing fundraising, and we apply for grants throughout the year to try to offset some costs. Again, thank you for your support.
Very good. Question?
What's the ratio between paid and volunteer?
Would you mind giving your name to Dave Loeb, right?
Volunteers are very low right now. We only have 2 people who currently volunteer, and they are still on the paid staff as well.
And that number has been dropping?
Oh, yes, very much.
Thank you, Dave. You had another question? Excuse me, we have another question for you. Excuse me, I didn't hear that.
Yes, it's always something for Nope, we're always looking for people.
Are there any other questions? Article 20, shall the voters appropriate $16,000 to the Pownal Rescue Squad, Inc. for workers' compensation insurance? 21, shall the voters appropriate $52,000 for the Pownal Valley Fire Department for operations and maintenance? 22, shall... Oh, sorry.
Jeff Miller, Assistant Chief of Pownal Valley Fire Department. I'd like to acknowledge and thank the Select Board for the allocation of the ARPA funds recently. I also want to clarify with everybody that every department that received those that money is to go to projects and equipment that we can't afford out of our general budget normally. So we do appreciate that very much. I'll read the letter that we wrote here. So, Pownal Valley Fire Department would like to acknowledge and thank the residents of the town of Pownal for their continued support. The funds received each year are used for department operations, building and apparatus maintenance, insurance, and general upkeep of our 3 stations. We will also once again ask for funds to be used for the replacement of our center station and our truck and equipment fund as well. This past year, we hosted 2 fundraisers, a cornhole set raffle, and a cash calendar, from which we were able to raise over $6,000 in additional funds for the station replacement. Also, with the help of many wonderful businesses right here in Pownal, we were able to give away over $2,600 through our cash calendar fundraiser. The last few years, we've tried to focus more on community outreach and being more visible and involved in many town activities, including teaching fire prevention at the elementary school, our annual Santa Parade, the community tree lighting, the Pownal Day festivities. You can also follow our Facebook page under the Pownal Valley Fire Department to stay informed on most everything that we are doing, from trainings, calls, and active emergency events in town to fundraisers and special events. Please continue to support our emergency services here in town. One day, it could save your life. Respectively, the membership of the Pownal Valley Fire Department.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Article 22, shall the voters appropriate $19,500 to the Pownal Valley Fire Department for the Fire Truck and Equipment Fund? 23, shall the voters appropriate $20,000 to the Pownal Valley Fire Department for the Building Fund? 24, shall the voters appropriate $3,000 to the Pownal Youth Baseball for the support of baseball and soccer programs?
Colby Harwood, Keller, President of Madden Pownal. We want to thank everybody for your continued support. With $3,000, the cost of admission to play baseball and soccer is free for all days in town and surrounding areas. We don't turn anybody away. We've done numerous improvements to the field. So anybody wants to come down in the spring, when we're down there on Saturday, feel free to bring some tools. We'd love your support. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Article 25, shall the voters appropriate $500 to Project Against Violent Encounters for the support or services rendered to the residents of the town? 26, shall the voters...
Wait a minute.
Excuse me, yes.
Samantha King, I'm the shelter advocate and housing advocate for Project Against Violent Encounters.
Okay.
So I'm just going to read something real quick.
You're a Pownal resident?
What's that?
Excuse me, you are a Pownal resident?
Oh, no.
That's all right, you can speak, that's fine. Anybody object to her speaking? Very fine, go ahead.
Sorry.
It's just a protocol.
So Paige believes that everyone deserves a healthy, positive love. It is part of, it is a core part of our mission to strive to promote our community in a world where we all experience the joy of healthy love. With over 10 million Americans affected by domestic violence a year, striving for a community where nonviolent love is the norm can be hard, but we persist because that is what we truly believe at the office, and that really is our mission. Over the past year, Kate has been able to help survivors of domestic and sexual violence reclaim their lives after fleeing abuse. We have been at the moment of crisis, fielding over 500 hotline calls, providing 4,221 nights of emergency shelter via hotels or our emergency shelter itself. Fielding over 500 hotline calls, over 50 protection orders, and helping over 20 families with housing vouchers. Kate has also been present before violent encounters happen, Kate has also been present before violence takes place with the hope that through education we can promote healthy love and stop domestic violence. That's it, sorry.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Thank you. Article 26, shall the voters appropriate $15,000 to the Solomon Wright Library for operations and maintenance?
I'm Jim Boutan. I'm a resident here of Pownal, and I'm the chair of the board of the library. And with me is our new director, Emily Gold, who is also a resident of Pownal, recently hired. and she's doing an outstanding job for us. Our first article has to do with the operations of the library. It's the general operation, the electricity, the maintenance, the lawn care, et cetera, the building upkeep, and of course the purchasing of supplies, like books and materials. And then our second article, which Tim hasn't read yet, which is coming up next, has to do with the salary of our part-time director. And for 2 years now, we've asked the town to help us support that. We really do need a director. I'll tell you what, we've got ourselves a good one. Just and she's doing a heck of a job. She's already doubled the attendance of the library. We're really happy to have her with us. I'm going to break the ice on another issue here, okay? And I'm going to ask other people for support on this. There's a letter that the select board sent out just recently to us. And this letter has to do with these ballot articles that we're addressing right now. And their change in policy as to how we need to come to the board or to the community and address our needs to help fund these organizations that provide these services to the town. And it's my understanding when I read this letter that you're looking for us as volunteers of the community services of this town to go out every year and solicit 150 to 170 signatures. Every year we have to do this in order to get onto the ballot again. Is this true? Is this really what you mean for us to do? Can someone answer that for us?
Mike, you want to try that, or do you want to pass it on to somebody else?
Anybody else want to take a stab at it?
So yeah, excuse me. So we decided as a board to try to control some of our costs, and one of the only ways we can do it, because the education fund is the lion's share of the taxes, is to require that every organization, I'm a member of one of those organizations, and so this directly affects me as well, and I still support it, that we require that we have to get signatures to get back on the ballot.
That's true. You do. You have to get signatures to get on the ballot, but you don't have to do it every year. We never have had to. This is the first time you're telling us that we've got to go out to the public. This board is kind of on harassment. You're really taking the people that are responsible to run these programs, and you're telling them that they've got to go out into the street, knock on doors with clipboards and pens and papers. And there's 22. I've done this for the past 2 years to try to get our director on board. It is a task. You're out there in the cold trying to get signatures during flu season, passing pencils and clipboards to people. And the only place you can go is the transfer station, and Tommy's going to throw us out of there if 22 people show up down there and try to do this. The other thing is, you've got the Pownal Valley Fair, and you've got the tree lighting. You want 22 people showing up with clipboards and trying to get signatures from people there? You need to go back and take a good hard look at this. If you want to try to cut down the spending, I suggest you have the superintendents or the chairmen of each of these organizations come to you, to the board, present their budgets to you, all right? You scrutinize those budgets with them. You look at their tax reports, and then you decide whether or not that should go on. It's an easy process.
Jim, that's Mike Gardner. Jim, that's kind of exactly what it was. Sorry. Can you hear me now? Is that better?
That's only for the video feed.
No.
Must have run the account. That one.
Awesome. I'm fine. So this came up in a board meeting. I can't tell you the date, but it was a while ago. One of our board members brought up the fact that our ballot articles, and I think it's been brought up for a couple of years now, the amount of money on the ballot articles has grown significantly over the years, obviously, right? So now that total is now, don't quote me on this because I don't remember off the top of my head for sure, but I think it's like a little over $300,000. So,
No, the total is 200, it's 299,000, you're close, yeah.
I was fairly close, right?
Yeah.
So, in order to, because we're under scrutiny, the board's under scrutiny all the time about spending and where the money's going and that kind of stuff, it came up in a discussion that maybe each organization could come up with their budget so that we, as a board, can say, here's the library's budget, right? This is what they expend their money on.
Exactly what you should do.
Right, and so...
Bring these people in and have them present that to you, through your board, through your finance committee, whatever.
Right, and that's exactly what the intention is of this. Now, I think probably having the signatures, in my opinion, it's certainly open for discussion about having to have signatures.
Good.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that. I do think that as a board, it is our responsibility to, and I don't want to come off that anybody's spending money that they shouldn't be doing. I just don't, because that's not my feeling at all. I just feel that it is important that everyone knows, all of the taxpayers who vote on these articles and the budgets and so on and so forth, know where the money goes.
I agree wholeheartedly with you. And that is your job as a board, to scrutinize and to look at the best you can at these budgets and even these figures as well. I agree.
Right, and that was the intention for sure.
Yeah, but sending 22 of us out into the general public and say that's going a little too far. We'll work with you. We'll sit down with you. We'll scrutinize budgets with you. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the board. I mean, as far as the board goes, we're not going to tell you that your budget's crazy, or maybe we will, but it's not our responsibility for you to take care of that. That's your own responsibility as the library. And I'm speaking directly, about the library because it's you there now. So.
Right.
So I think, hey, Mike, if I could add a word.
Bob Jarvis.
Not Bob Jarvis, select board. Just where I think everybody's intention was good here in order to maintain and look out for taxpayer money, where I think we could do a better job is to solicit this kind of conversation and input before we make the decision. That's what really should have happened.
Thank you. Yes.
So, isn't it my understanding that once we get the signatures, we have to go on but there's no negotiation, we go on the ballot, if I am correct. If we get our signatures, we go on for what we're asking for. So, this gives, very few people have raised their ballot articles in many years. So what this is doing is opening up the process to make ballot articles more instead of less. Because if you're going out to get your signatures, you're going to ask for the budget that you need to support your fire department, your EMS, your whatever, your library. If you're going out on an annual basis and prices keep going up and everything it's going to backfire. So it's definitely a discussion that the board should look into. That's my concern as treasurer and a number person. So if you're out there and you get your article or your signatures and you need to increase your budget,
which I have done for the past few years.
Right, you had to add articles. So if we're increasing,
if I'm not increasing.
I understand that. Why do we have to go get signatures? I totally understand that, but that's what I'm saying. If you have to go out, like the fire department, if we have to go out and get signatures every year anyway, then we're going to do what we need to do to survive and then it's up to the community to either vote yes or no.
But if you don't get your signatures, you don't make it.
And then if you don't get your signatures, you don't make it, but that's why you can start now. You can start now for the next one after election.
We've got a couple other people who want to speak from that. Julie, did you want to say something?
Yes. Is there a date on there? Because as I'm the one that has to certify every signature,
Yes, I think it says
and most
January
people,
5th, I believe.
January 5th.
We have a question over there, or a comment?
Yeah, Jenny, do you want to have So you're having two conversations here. One is to come before the board and discuss your budgets and discuss getting on the ballot. The other is going out and getting, how many signatures?
You need a minimum of 150, but you've got to get more than that.
Okay, so 150 signatures. But for select board, you only need 30 signatures. So all that is to get you on the ballot. We vote. It's up to us to vote on those ballot articles. I'll sign someone's petition to run, even if I have no intention of voting for them, because I think they have a right to run if they want to. I don't think signatures has anything to do with budget or with us voting. And so not giving enough signatures so they don't get to have a vote, that doesn't seem fair to me.
They don't get on the ballot. No, you need
Yes, sir, another comment? The gentleman back, go ahead, the gentleman back there.
Oh, Steve Zellman, I just wondered about the transfer station being the only best place to get signature for the library.
Like signatures there, that's right. But, when you're down to the last minute, you need signatures. The only place you can be more you can be pretty sure they're going to be down there. And don't get me wrong, I've been down there for 2 years now. The public has been very supportive. I think maybe 2 people have refused to sign out of every time I've gone down. But it really is the only place you can go, unless you go to a special event like the tree lighting exercise.
But the library is combined for all 22, not just the libraries.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And Jimmy Wood does the same thing. He takes our petitions and puts them out on the bench, but you can't put 22 petitions out there. And don't go to the post office. They threw me out of there. They ripped my picture up on the wall down there.
Would you like to come up? And it's hard for people to hear you unless you're speaking through the microphone. Thank you.
So Sharon, I'd just like to say, I didn't realize that for ballot articles, they have to have 130 signatures.
150 minimum. You've always got to get extra because some of them aren't going to be legitimate.
Okay, so when you go to run for office, you need 30?
Yes.
Why can't everybody be 30?
Because it's a state law that you need 150.
Yeah, it says it has to be 150.
Yes, it has to be 5% of your voters, and right now we have 2,410. And a lot of the petitions are not registered voters, they live in other towns, so I asked for extra because our deadline is like January 18th, usually the middle of January for ballot articles. I'm not gonna take 22 of them at 5 o'clock on the 18th and then be like, oh, you're missing one signature. So you have to, but it is a state law that it's 5%, it's 5% of the voters for asking for money.
Can we vote to reduce the amount and another next year, some other time? I mean, it seems like a lot.
If they want less, then you can ask for less.
So would we have to get 130 signatures to put on the ballot?
To be put on the ballot, yes. Yes. You need 150 somewhere.
We have a number of them. This is
It is.
Why don't you come up? You sir.
Jason Molansky, Fire Chief of Pownal Valley, and I'm also a resident. I'm appalled at this. Okay, I'm furious. Okay, this is ridiculous. This casts a very uncomfortable feeling to all of us. Okay, we've already submitted our tax information this year, which we didn't have to do in the past. We've always done everything that should be asked. This policy should be rescinded and thrown in the garbage. Okay, I want an option to vote on every article. We're essentially me from being able to vote on these articles by making it hard for these people to get on there. We have the right to vote yes or no. I don't understand why we're taking it to another extreme.
Thank you. Just let me see, is there anybody else? You've had a chance. Is anybody else? Okay.
Can I speak from here or do I need to come to you?
Why don't you come up here just so that people can hear you?
Okay. Give me a second. I really need. I'm walking. Walking on my knee. you say it's state statute to have 130 signatures. That
Or
states-
5% of your voters.
But that's the state statute if you require signatures.
Right.
It's not state statute to require.
To require funds of the town, you have to have 150 or 5%.
That's not my point. We've never had to do it before. Is this a new statute or is it?
No.
It's not.
No, it's never.
So the question is, that statute is if the select board requires the signatures. Is that correct? So, right? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so this was a select board decision
I was going to answer that.
to make this rule, and then if you make the rule, then you have to follow the statute, correct?
That's correct,
So we don't have an option at all, we have to do this? I'm confused. I'm hearing two different things here. So are we, what is the rule?
Just 1 minute. One
No, I'm
person.
looking for an answer.
We're getting a lot of different, who's going to answer this? Go ahead.
Okay, so the state statute is that you have to have 5% of the voting population. Sorry, our previous policy was that you had to collect the signatures one time, and then you were able to go on the ballot from there on out, as long as you didn't increase.
The new rule is that it has to.
It's not a state statute isn't new. The policy that the select board is new.
So if you're wanting to get on the ballot for the first time, the state statute requires those signatures anyway.
Yes.
But if you've been on the ballot before, you are not state statute-wise required to get those signatures. It's a new policy to get the signatures.
Unless you're increasing the dollar amount you're requesting.
No, just, let's take.
I just want to make that everyone's clear with what the new rule is, or what the new policy is. So, okay, and if you want to raise your amount, that's also state statute. So if I want to go from asking for $5 to $10, then it's state statute that I have to get the signatures again.
Yes.
Okay. Then, so that's the answer. So I'm going to echo my friends here on this side, saying that I don't agree that we should have to require signatures of organizations that have been always on the ballot. We can make our own decisions. 130, I mean, yes, 5%, but 5% of our people barely even vote. So it's ridiculous to ask for 150 signatures when we often have an election in March and only 300 people come and vote. This year it'll be more because it's a presidential election. But that seems like it doesn't work in Pownal.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? It's my general understanding, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but the select board is going to review this and will consider options or at least review it again?
Absolutely.
So my understanding is the select board will review this and we'll all be informed and be invited to the meetings. I'm sure it'll be on the agenda, and if you feel strongly about it, you should certainly show up. Excuse me, did we have somebody who wanted to speak? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Chris Blackman, I'm just wondering, do the signatures have to be physical signatures, or there's no allowance for electronic signatures any longer, or now at this point?
I think those questions should all be, considered by the board. Okay. And would certainly, I would hope that you would show up. No.
It's not, no, the select board has nothing to do with the signatures. The signature, you have to physically sign the paper so that I can verify. We don't do electronic signatures verification.
But if the rule, as I understand it, is if nothing is changing and they've been on the ballot before, that it's the select board that's deciding that signatures are needed. And then would it not be possible that those would be electronic signatures?
I will double check with the state, but I do not believe that as of right now that we do electronic signatures.
Thank you.
That seems like it would be much easier.
I want to clarify something. So I'm sorry I missed your name, but
Chris.
Nice to meet you, Chris. So the select board can require the signatures to be processed, like the new policy that we have in place. The signatures have to be verified by the town clerk. The select board would not verify the signatures. Okay, is that, I think,
I'm just saying that if it's the select board that is saying, it's no longer state statute. State statute says that you need the 5% of the voters' signatures to get on the ballot for the first time or to change the amount of your money that's on the ballot. This is how I understood what it was.
That's correct.
So that if the rest of the, presumably that all 22 are not changing the amount that they're asking every year. Those years that they're not doing it, it's just the select board that's asking for the additional signatures. Can those signatures be electronic signatures so they can collect them throughout the year without the onerous task of going out door to door or standing someplace for 8 hours?
Julie, correct me if I'm wrong, but once that petition, you're the one, the town clerk has to verify signatures from a petition, no matter what it's for.
Yes.
Okay? I hope that clears it up.
And Julie, I'm sure that Julie will check on it to be sure. And once again, I would encourage you to show up at the select board meeting when this topic is brought up, and you can bring it up and we'll have a more definite opinion on that. But thank you very much.
29, if we're good.
Okay, is any, wait a minute. Jim,
I want to thank the voters for supporting the Solomon Wright Library.
And Jim, I'm not sure this is appropriate, but I think it's encouraging always from all our standpoints of view to have citizens express their opinion in a meeting like this. That's what makes a town meeting important. That's what makes a town meeting part of Vermont's culture. And to have people get up and make the statement and look for answers, I think is very commendable. But thank you, Jim. Okay.
Hi, I'm Emily Gold. I've been in town for nearly 20 years now, and I was just hired as the library director in January. I'm really happy to be there. We have such great resources beyond just the physical books in the library. We have a library of things where you can check out snowshoes. We have museum passes. We have our online resources too. So we have so many things that are available for free to all the citizens of Pownal and beyond. So this year, my main goal is to really have the library be a safe and welcoming space for our whole community. So the ways we're doing that, we're having some activities, like a board game and puzzle activity with the Faith Church this coming Saturday. And if you want to know more about that, please talk to me after the meeting. We're working really closely with our local organizations like Head Start, Oak Hill, the Pownal Elementary School, and the Faith Church to just foster relationships and get more activities going. We have rotating exhibitions by area artists that change every couple months. And we're really encouraging our Pownal-based groups to also use our space. You can come use our space and just fill out a quick form. It's really easy. We're going to have a summer reading program again for kids that we're really excited about with some great animal events. So just a couple numbers here for you. We've added twice as many patrons in February as we did January of this year. Comparing our numbers from last January, we're actually up 48% from last January in visits. In February, we were up 58% from last year. And over our school vacation week, when we had lots of kids come in to make fairy houses, our visits were actually up 72% from last year. So we are so excited to be doing what we're doing and more this year and really open our space to all of Pownal.
Article 27, shall the voters appropriate $30,000 to the Solomon Wright Library for the support of a director? 28, shall the voters appropriate $1,200 to Southwestern Vermont Area Council on Aging for the support and services rendered to the residents of the town. 29, shall the voters appropriate $5,000 to Sunrise Family Resource Center, a not-for-profit agency for the support of services rendered to the town. 30, excuse me.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jonathan Cooper. I'm a resident of Pownal, on North Pownal Road. And so I have with me a stack of these annual reports sitting in the back corner there, and I'd love it if anyone could take one home with them, as it contains a story of a fantastic year. A year of working with families on some core basic skills and some opening new opportunities to families through transportation, through play groups, through exercise, through wraparound cares that have been putting families at the center of Sunrise's work for 55 years. 55 years we'll be celebrating on March 23rd with a celebration Sunstock. I guess 55 years ago was Woodstock, and so we're aligning these two very complementary, entities. But in the night of celebration at Little City Cider in Bennington, if you can be there, I wanted to sort of highlight that the many thousands of families that we reach throughout Bennington County, we have over 300 connections in Pownal, largely enhanced by our partnership with none other than the Solomon Wright Public Library, where there were 33 playgroups in this past fiscal year, ways that we can get families together, parents, children, seniors, the whole spectrum of what it means to be a community, what it means to be a family. And so for a number of years, we have been really grateful and lucky to have the town of Pownal support through these ballot articles. And so we're very pleased and grateful to look for your support tomorrow again for our $5,000 set level from the previous year. Thanks very much. I'll be here throughout the rest of the evening. Any questions, any discussion, any unexpected volume increases, I'll be ready. Anyways, thank you very much for your support and your time.
Article 30, shall the voters appropriate $2,500 to the Tutorial Center for the support of adult education and literacy to the residents of the town. 31, shall the voters appropriate $440 to the Vermont Center for Independent Living for the support of people with disabilities in the town. 32, shall the voters appropriate $2,000 for the Pownal Valley Swinging Seniors for services provided to the residents of the town. Well, that's the last of the articles. I'd just like to remind you that voting will take place at the new town hall. Thank you all for coming. Yes.
Is there time for slightly related questions?
Sure.
Dave Lowe and Pownal, these are two completely unrelated questions. Does the select board or town officials have any influence, or can they wield any influence with the post office about the inconsistent mail delivery? I suspect the answer is yes. Nothing anybody can do. It is what it is.
Call your postman. As best I can.
Second question, and Ellen gave me a little bit of clarification, has to do with delinquent taxes. As I read the report, it's clear that most Pownal residents pay their taxes on time. It's certainly no doubt the case that there are some cases which deserve extenuating circumstances. But when it comes to properties that are on the list year after year, and I see that figure of about $275,000 in arrears as of the end of December, it causes me to wonder what the consequences are for those properties that are repeatedly on that delinquent list. Is that something anybody can answer?
Would you like me to answer that, gentlemen?
Yes, fine.
And lady.
It's just, if you wouldn't mind, for those people who don't know, you introduce yourself and come up.
Hi, I'm Ellen Strohmeyer. I'm your delinquent tax collector. on this question.
Can you hear her all right?
Can you guys hear me? Please
We can
don't
put her-
make me
we
have
can
to
put her
go
on
this
the
way.
microphone.
Can you hear me or no? Can you hear me, Jim? Okay, so mobile homes, some of our mobile homes are, owe more than a couple years. Basically, at this point, if someone owes, my delinquent tax policy says 2 years delinquent, you can go to tax sale without a payment plan. And that means if they didn't pay their 22 taxes but paid their 23 and didn't set up a payment for 22, that's 2 years. So you don't need to have 2 full years delinquent. Also, I hire an attorney. I use attorney Kevin O'Toole to do delinquent tax sales. He will not take a tax sale for less than $500. So some of the smaller taxes on person's property, sometimes it takes 4 years before they can go to sale, and that's usually an unlanded mobile home or a small piece of property. Last year, the delinquent tax list did look a little better. We had VHAP and et cetera still left over from COVID, where the state was helping people pay. A handful of people, probably 15 people took advantage of that were having problems through COVID and got some of their property taxes and their delinquent sewer paid by the state through the different programs. We don't have that anymore. So we are in the process, I am in the process again of starting the procedures for tax sale. All that could change. The state now has a, help me, Julie, what is it called? A new bill, thank you. I hate public speaking. A new bill upstate that is changing all the rules, all the laws, all the regulations. The new bill, and I don't know where it stands and if they made any changes to it yet. If you were to buy something at tax sale and you used to get 1% per month, you could get up to 12% on your money if you purchased something at tax sale and the person redeemed at the end of a year's time. Now they're going to cut that to 0.5% a month. They're also going to increase, you cannot tax sale until someone owes $15,000. So that is, that will really change the way things happen in payments of taxes, because it takes a long time to accumulate $15,000 for some of our parcels. So we're waiting to see what happens there, but like I said, I am working on a tax sale right now, the starting of.
The holding period.
The holding period. Oh, there's just so much to this new bill, and it's sort of changing. I think my attorney, Kevin O'Toole, did tell me that they have made some changes, but it's made it through part of it really could happen, and it's really going to affect every town in Vermont. With delinquencies, you're going to see a lot more than you see right now.
In a negative way.
In a negative way. It is not going to help in a positive way. I do know that if you don't redeem your property in a tax sale with this new bill, and then the new owner purchases it, gets it after redemption, I give them their deed, and then they decide to sell it. Anything they sell it for over the amount that they purchased it for, my understanding is that money goes back to the previous owner, to the delinquent payer. So there's a lot of, it's not going to be an easy position to do and collect on then. We did discuss right now, that was a December 31st total, our delinquent tax. That was just the principal amount, the 270 something. It's down to like 209 right now, and that will change once, people are making payments now. I have a lot of people on payment schedules, but.
Thank you.
Hey, Ellen. For those of you who don't know, I'm a tax collector.
Would you mind coming up to?
Ellen and I know each other very well. I just got a question. If you've got to wait until they owe $15,000 and you do a tax sale, do they still only have 1 year to redeem, or are they going to give more than that?
No, it's still the 1 year redemption period.
And have to wait
Right.
so long to send them a letter, get the lawyer involved, you know, 'cause it is a very long process, but Alan's doing a good job,
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions? Yes?
Can we get a summary on our ARPA funds that we've received and what's been allocated?
Excuse me, I didn't hear that.
Could we get a summary on our ARPA funds the town has received and what's been allocated?
Right.
We can, I don't think we have that tonight, Jason.
Rough.
I think after the last board meeting, when we gave you guys 25 each, I think there's 140,000 left. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's the number.
Some other projects that were done before that, could we get a brief summary of those, or where could we find that information?
We can get that information. I don't think we have it with us at all, Tara.
I mean,
but we can certainly get that. Look, we use, I can give you,
Everything that was-
a brief summary of some, and I don't have the amount.
It's in the book.
Oh, it is in the book?
It's in the book.
Okay, I thought it was.
It's in the special funds section.
I just have one more question, Mr. Chairman. I watched the meeting the other night about the ARPA funds, and I'm so glad that they're going, some of them are going to the squad and the fire department and stuff like that. I'm wondering about the rest of the money, and is any of it designated for the bridge in Pownal that's about to fall in, and they told us years ago it was going to cost $1 million to repair it? Is there any fund for that?
We haven't designated the balance for anything, Sue. We need to have a meeting on what to do with the balance. And I like I said, I think it's 140,000, 138, something, I don't remember exactly. But we do have to sit down and we have to figure that out sooner rather than later. Excuse me?
Do we have anything set aside for that bridge now?
Joel, do we have some money, I don't know the amount off the top of my head.
Some money. The hope is the state will pay at least 90% of the bill. And we're hoping we have enough for our time.
So when will we know if the state will give us 90%?
Well,
That's
they
something
will.
you're working on now?
They will, yeah.
I remember when I went on the downtown, I came down from the state and said that we needed to get going on the bridge because it was going to cost us over $1 million.
Well, we're getting up there on the list. Just, we're close. I know, and it might be another 5 or 6 years, but eventually it will get done. Unless you want to spend $1 million, hopefully better.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying if we had ARPA money, we could put some of that away for us.
But we don't want to put a lot away either. We were warned, I think, years ago, if we got a whole lot of money in the bridge fund, you may not get,
Just one second. We have a comment here from, or task, do you want to, is this pertaining to this issue?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
The ARPA funds, once it's designated, it has to be spent by 2026. So even if we designated money to that bridge, we're not going to have that bridge fixed by the deadline. There is a deadline that you have to spend the money by. So if we designate it to something for the town, it has to be spent by a certain period.
Probably something relevant to know also is it has to...
Wait, just 1 second, please. If you want to say something, why don't you come up? I don't think people can hear you from there. Did you finish?
Yes, ma'am. Sure. Yes, ma'am. One of them nights, let's do this. It's getting late.
I think probably something that's important to know also on the ARPA funds, while we have to spend them by the end of 2026, we have to allocate them by the end of this year. So we have to know what we're spending them on by the end of this year.
Wow, is that the end of the year or the end of April?
Wait, Wait a minute, please, it's hard to...
It's April.
No, I got it.
It's the end of April.
Okay, so the question was, do we have to spend them by April, or do we have to spend them by the end of the... I'm sorry, do we have to allocate them by the end of April or by the end of this year? The end of April, as I understand it, is our annual reporting requirements for ARPA funds, and that's every year. Every year as long as the ARPA program is alive. Designating them is by the end of December, by December 31st of this year.
Are there any other questions on this issue? Yes. Is that a question or? Okay. Anything else anybody would like to bring up at this time? If not, I'd entertain a motion. Yes, we have a, yes.
We should, in the tradition of Vermont town meeting day, take the opportunity, lots of organizations, to thank people for supporting the organization, but we should thank our select board, our town officials, and the rescue squad, the fire department, the drill crew, and everybody else who does so much for this town, this small town. So,
If someone, I would entertain a motion. Oh, wait a minute. We have a few more.
No, people speak.
I'm sorry. I just
These guys
think
want to
that
speak.
if we're going to say that, I'd like to see us give a moment for Kenny Odell, who died after 65 years in the town fire department, and I'd like us to have a moment of silence for him.
Thank you. He's a good person. Jamie, did you have a question there? Oh.
Don.
Okay, yes, come on up.
Well, I was going to say, we need to do our moment of silence for a minute.
Have a moment of silence.
I asked for a moment of silence. for Kenny
Yes,
Odell.
right. I thought somebody else was going to comment on it too. Thank you. Okay, if there are no other comments.
Nope, Don has a comment.
Okay, your hand's been up, I keep on seeing you.
Donna Lozon, Pownal resident. I was just hoping to hear, maybe not tonight if you don't have the information, but we all should know by now that we're having a townwide reassessment. And I know other towns have done a lot of PR to make sure that folks that may not watch select board meetings are aware that assessors in the future will be coming to their homes. And I was just curious what the town may be doing to promote that, whether it's on Facebook or at meetings or in the banner, so that everyone is aware that this assessment is coming. Thank you.
Can any select board member answer that?
Donna, I believe that reassessment is probably 2026.
2025.
What's that?
2025, I think.
2025, 2026, before it even begins. We've sent out the RFP and gone forward with it. But as far as the actual reassessment, it's definitely over a year away.
Did you get the assessor? Do you have an assessor yet?
Not yet.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, no, we did, right? Who did we? Well, yes, we've sent out our RFP, and then we did hire Nemrick, which is we hired Nemrick, which is our, they do our assessment through the assessor clerk's office and stuff there. So yes, we do have an assessor, but it's 2025, 2026 before they're even going to get started. I mean, they did tell us that.
Before that, there will be some discussion about how people will be coming to folks' doors and...
Absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. We'll try to get as much information from them as we can get, and then we have some from them. They've given us some of the process, and I don't have it in front of me, obviously, but they have given us part of their process. But we'll definitely get it out there, whether we send out a flyer or however we do it.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you.